Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sunday morning of fantasy football fun. Yeah, that one worked too. My name is Kyle Senra. This is the Going for Two Live Start Sit stream, where we will answer your start, sit, and any other fantasy football questions. One of the co-hosts who's been on this show for years now. Really, it's his show. I don't know why I'm introducing it. He probably do a better job of it, but he also makes the smarter comments. So I've got a host and throw to him, and that is Jamie Perog. How you doing, Jamie?
Doing pretty good. Just getting ready to sit Brian Robinson Jr. in all my leagues.
Yeah.
Oh, what is it? So he's not expected to play?
Yeah, he is out. Yep.
Okay, so definitely. Well, I've got my list of who do I have to go to for Brian Robinson? But again, he's an early morning one. There might be some other later players that maybe require more planning. Whereas now we know, and you have your whole roster ahead of you to change and have some options. But got definitely some great options here. Another Packers fan, so go Pack Go. That's always great to see. Topher Kurt joining us as always. Great co-host extraordinaire. How are you?
I'm doing well. You're a great host extraordinaire, so I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. And full house today. Fourth joined us a couple weeks ago during Topher's absence. Josh, welcome to the show again. Glad to have you.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to have you, and glad to always talk fantasy football and go through some dilemmas. And so for later players, so Brian Robinson right now we know for injuries, but there could be some dilemmas. I'm looking at like Puka Nacua, but I think everything is pointing he's expected to play, so that might be of less concern. If you have Travis Etienne and you want to play him, like what are the plays there? It might be. I know in one league it might decide between Etienne if he's active or Jaden Reed. So you want to move these players to the flex, and you can have kind of multiple options. And I think that's kind of the double injury awareness, right? Is can we think Jordan Love's going to play, but what if they pull the rug under us at the last minute and say Willis is starting? Maybe less likely to want to play Reed, and if suddenly find out that Etienne is active, even if he splits with Bigsby, that might be worth it there. So it's just some thoughts of like how to prepare for players.
I wouldn't even hate if Malik started, because when he had the last time he had the full week to game plan, he actually did a pretty good job instead of Love when he was out. It wasn't terrible. When he gets the spot start, he's a little shaky, but when he has the time to game plan, he seemed to do pretty well with his receivers. So I wouldn't be too scared to start any of those.
That Titans game, they were throwing a lot. Watson had a couple big catches, and I think Reed probably that was on his early season touchdown scoring pace, which he's kind of cooled off on, and they're not using him as much. So I'm a little hesitant, and I've lowered Reed in my rankings. I think collectively we've been ranking him way too high, Jamie, and that, me included. Like just you see the ECR, he's constantly a top 12 wide receiver, and I've been like, maybe I'll keep him up there, and then like this week I've kind of decided, this feels like we have to stop ranking him up here.
I mean, you don't have to. You probably should, but you don't have to.
That's the thing. We don't have to do anything. We just choose. We don't have to start Jamar Chase, right? You can choose to bench Jamar Chase.
Exactly.
You're in total control of your fantasy teams. You can do any crazy, stupid thing you want.
Exactly.
Great point, Topher. Bucky Irving's an interesting one on the Monday night, because that might really limit your options. So for someone who has Bucky Irving, I think the natural thing is, we'll go get maybe Sean Tucker, like one of the other Bucks running back replacements. Chiefs are so good against running backs, though, that maybe a wide receiver, even a Chiefs player, might even be a better option. So I know I've got Irvin in one league where I have Juju on the bench. And so if I really need to cut Juju and pick up a Justin Watson just not to take a zero, I may be willing to risk it. So that might up as a lineup decision that I'm kind of wrestling with. And I guess I'm going to show my start-sit spreadsheet again. Josh, I don't think you were here the time everyone was on. I don't think I shared anything on screen. So this might be new to you, but this is kind of how a tool that I kind of utilize to help myself make start-sit decisions. And one of my big salary cap contract leagues, injury decimated. Again, I'm having to start 4 of these wide receivers. You can see that there's not a lot of great names, to where I'm kind of considering, Jalen Tolbert, wide receiver 1 this week. Please come back next week. Nico Collins, please come back next week. Nico Collins, I really need you. But all to say, Christian Watson versus Josh Palmer is kind of a decision I'm unfortunately having to go with, because I literally have no other options. And then Bucky Irving as a flex spot or Roshan Johnson. And some of the things I look at with they both make those decisions close based on the things that I look at in terms of the importance, the production from the players, projections, my goal line stuff, goal line grades and goal line guide differential. You can check out my goal line guide article at Fantasy Six Pack. Go on where you touchdown upside, but everything together kind of makes them close decisions. So before I guess we have any viewers come in, what do you guys think of that? Christian Watson versus Josh Palmer, and then at flex spot, Bucky Irving versus Roshan Johnson, and it is a half-point PPR.
I'm going to say you're more likely to have a big play from Christian Watson versus Josh Palmer, and it's going to be a high-flying affair against Detroit. I go Watson there. Roshan has been getting into the end zone more and more lately. Bucky Irving is questionable against a pretty good Chiefs defense. I would lean Roshan just because of the touchdown upside. That's my thought. But I could be very wrong on that.
This disparity is huge too. Like the Chiefs give up in this scoring setting the fewest fantasy points to running back, and the Cardinals give up the third most. So,
exactly. Yeah.
And then the goal line guide also mentions like your thing of touchdown upside. Josh, do you want to go next?
I think I'm on board with both his takes on this. I like Christian Watson. I think him coming back in a game where they're going to have to throw to keep up with Detroit. He's always been a big play guy, a red zone guy. He's got definitely the best chance of scoring over Josh Palmer. I mean, anywhere I see Josh Palmer, I wonder why he's on a depth chart for fantasy right now. I mean, unless it's an extremely deep league. But I'd go Watson over Palmer hands down. And then as far as Bucky Irvin and Roshan, it's really tough because I know Roshan's not the main running back there, but he is going to have the opportunity near the red zone because Arizona is not that great of a defense against the running game. And I don't think that Tampa Bay is going to have the chance to run a lot. And although Bucky Irving does catch passes, I think this is going to be more of a play and catch up kind of game where I think I'd rather take the shot on the touchdown or bust with Roshan over Bucky Irving.
I'm pretty sure I know where Jamie's going to go on the flex spot. So what do you think between Christian Watson and the Canadian kid, Josh Palmer?
I don't want to start Palmer. He's been garbage all year, pretty much. Watson has a big play upside, but definitely I'm going with Roshan. I got him in a couple of my leagues starting, and I'm not mad at it. I mean, I think he's the best running back in that backfield, but he just needs the opportunity.
So you probably think he's a way better running back than Bucky Irving.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You're like, why can't he be on the Bucs? He would just take over completely.
Yeah, and then Rachaad White's going to get most of the passing game anyway.
I think one thing that was encouraging was Irving did get a lot of receptions last week when they were behind, I think, against the Falcons. So maybe that pass catching role is being split where it's not just White playing every third down, but it does also seem like White will still be out there. They're still going to use him. Like the one thing that really stands out to me is this upside. Like literally best performances all year. Everyone's at 14, and even that isn't that great compared to that monster game Algier had where he had 19 points. Again, none of these guys have 20-point upside, so I'm pretty screwed. But Josh Palmer's best fantasy game this year, 8.3. And I think someone mentioned the touchdown upside. It's not great between him and Watson. You see both their goal line grades and the goal line guide differential are pretty low. Like for an average goal line grade this week, I think it's like 75. We got a 51.5 and a 45.5, which that's like, I think it's like the second worst rush grade. But this differential, I believe, is the second or third worst overall this week. So like not a whole lot of touchdown upside from either, but I think to Josh's point earlier, we saw a big play potential from Willis, specifically with Christian Watson catching those couple of big passes against a really good run defense Titans. So really good run defense Lions could see them also going at Watson for the big play. I think to agree with all of you, I was leaning Watson over Palmer. I think it's how I have it in my lineup now. But yeah, the Irving Johnson thing has really twisted me. And I think also the risk of Irving's expected to play, but he's questionable means there's still the risk on Monday night that, again, I might have to go drop Juju to pick up think I looked like Justin Watson, Noah Gray are the best players playing Monday. Like the risk of them in the lineup could just go with Roshan with that touchdown upside. So I think I'm probably going to make that change. We're going to change screens over here. I guess I kind of need to start sharing the links too. I've been distracted. So does anyone have any like tough decisions that they're rattling with right now that they want to share?
Well, I did just see before game time, Brian Robinson went out. So, I mean, I'm trying to go in between Eckler and Romo Dunze right now. That was one of my start sits that I'm kind of quarreling with. I really think Romo Dunze is going to get utilized today. I think they're going to, try and have a little storyline with the two first rookie wide receivers kind of duke it out in this game between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Odunze. And I could see Odunze getting a big play. But then now you got Brian Robinson out against a really bad Giants team, but their defense is probably the strength of that team. But Eckler, good for PPR, and he usually puts up 10 to 12 points when Brian Robinson is out. So I'm kind of stuck between that. I think I might go with the touchdown upside of Odunze myself, but I don't know what you guys think.
Robinson, I kind of do like the volume that Eckler's going to get.
Yeah.
Starting running backs like that is tough to really replicate. And I mean, it's tough because Brian Robinson, I think, was slated for a great game. I think he had like 133 rush yards the last time they played the Giants. Didn't find the end zone, so that might be the one thing where there's less touchdown upside for Eckler. But if he can find his legs, there could be good running room there, and of course the catches. That's I think where I lean just for volume purposes.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah. Like last week on the cheat sheet, Romo Dunze was my huge buy of the week. Like he saw a 27% target share. He led the team in receptions. I know it was only 3 receptions, but he still led the team. And we all know like those rookie receivers, they're better the second half of the season. So I can really see Odunze start coming out. Plus, I mean,
sorry, Jamie.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say you have to forgive him because it was a very difficult pass defense matchup with the shutdown defense of the Commanders.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to lean Odunze just for that upside. I know Eckler's probably safer, but I don't know, man. I love Odunze.
I'm going to Dunze as well. I'm just going for that upside right there. I'm on that as well. Yeah.
And he had like 11 targets one game. He was like a wide receiver 7 or 8 that one week, and that was against a poor matchup too. So maybe he does it again this week.
Yeah. I'm also trying to double down on a parlay I put in where I have Odunze getting a touchdown. So I'm all in.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's one outcome, and it serves 2 different places as a victory. So that does make sense if you are convicted that it's going to happen. Not to pour some cold water on it, but I don't love the Bears' passing goal line grade this week. It's just below average, but they also mentioned the touchdown upside of Roshan, it being a higher than average rushing score. So could also see the touchdown upside really coming on the ground for the Bears. So that would be, I guess, maybe my one hesitation, but I certainly understand if you're all starting to do you guys think he's really going to take over from DJ Moore and really be that number one? And we got to start maybe ranking DJ Moore lower. Like I don't know where you have Moore this week, Jamie. But he was tough for me to rank.
I haven't even looked. Let me pull it up, but I do think he's going to pass Keenan Allen for sure.
Mm-hmm. I'm just waiting on that Keenan Allen injury that is coming.
Yeah, because the contingent upside of Odunze if one of those guys go down.
Yeah, and then I could see Odunze taking over next year for DJ Moore. I don't know about this year, but like I said, Keenan Allen, aging wide receiver. He already missed a game or 2. Odunze did good taking that spot while he was out for a game or 2. And, I think eventually, that those ankles for Keenan Allen has always been an issue. So I could see it definitely creeping up on him towards the end of the season and Odunze getting to run away with that number 2 spot.
Yeah, so right now I got Odunze at 36, and I actually put Keenan Allen right behind him.
Okay.
Yeah, I see them like that a lot too.
I think they're both outside my top 40. I'll also see Amari Cooper is out.
Yeah.
I meant to bring that up. Yep, he's out. So Khalil Shakir, I'd start him this week if he wasn't already in your lineup. He's definitely locked in your lineup.
And Keon Coleman.
Yes. You know what? I'm a little worried for Keon Coleman without Amari Cooper because he wasn't great when he was the focal point of the pass defense. He didn't really have a good game until Amari Cooper was there to take the pressure off him. So we'll see. I like Shakir more than Coleman this week. With Cooper being out, had Cooper played, I would be fine with the Coleman play. But with Coleman starting to get hot, you got to at least ride it. I wouldn't shy away from him unless I definitely had somebody that I knew would be better. But I definitely am, lowering my expectations for Keon Coleman without Cooper on the field.
Oh, for sure.
Zamir White is healthy, so I still think he's going to be the second guy behind Madison.
Yeah, he's been active the last couple of weeks, and Madison's gotten most of the touches.
Tony Pollard's active. That's good news. And let's see. Tyler Boyd, that's the final one. He's healthy and playing.
Okay. That's good.
If you play IDP, Trayvon Diggs is healthy.
Oh, he's in. All right.
Yeah, so Amari Cooper, Brian Robinson, big omissions.
Yeah.
They announced yesterday about T. Higgins and Zach Moss. Jermaine Burton's also inactive. If you thought getting cute and playing him with Higgins out, don't, because Burton's out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we heard Zeke Elliott, the team suspended him for a game, I think, or team disciplined him to bench him or something.
Yep.
So back to Rico Dowdle and Dalvin Cook active as the main backer.
Yeah. What do you guys think about Dalvin Cook? Because I have Dowdle, and I think Dowdle has this starting role locked up in this mediocre offense that's going to have an easy schedule moving forward. But I have a lot of friends that are saying that Dalvin Cook got elevated from the practice squad to take that job. And I just don't see it personally.
Oh, no.
No way.
The last time we saw Dalvin Cook get starter reps, he was abysmal and he just looked washed. And, they're like, oh, he had all season to get in shape and learn the playbook so far. And I'm like, yeah, but look at what Kareem Hunt did, where he literally got elevated instantly. He had to learn a new playbook too, even though he was on the Chiefs before, because Eric Bieniemy wasn't there. But when the guys got it, you get him in the lineup. If Dalvin Cook had it, I feel like he would have been playing by now. I think it's still Dowdle's job. What do you guys think?
I mean, Dowdle's been playing great. Cook, he's burnt. I don't see him doing much.
He's cooked. Too bad that he got burned.
He's overkill.
Plus, what are they going to play Cook?
Don't play him or he'll burn you.
He is burnt to a crisp. Yeah. I think Dowdle has that for the rest of the season. And then come next year, they draft Ashton Genty and then have another 4 years of
are they smart enough to draft him? Because they passed up on a bunch of good running backs this year in the later rounds.
Well, because they didn't care. It's now a very visible thing, and they also have to play some sort of visible semantics as America's team. So I think that they're going to have to fix that running game.
They have to.
Yeah, they have to. Otherwise, it's going to get pretty harsh for that whole establishment.
Well, and I don't know that it's that awful of a thing to pass entirely on the running backs last year, Jamie, because what was the one thing we kept talking about last year? This is one of the worst running back classes we've ever seen. So I think you can forgive the team for deciding. Maybe not. It's pretty stupid. Just like, let's go with Zeke and Cook. Because as much as you're all saying, like, Dalvin, okay, does Dalvin Cook have upside? Because I've had that conversation with other people as well. The one thing I keep getting back to, you talk about, like, great point, Josh, Kareem Hunt, not a Bieniemy offense, a new, I guess, was Matt Nagy there, like, way back when Hunt was taken? Or was he already with the Bears? I can't remember. But either way.
I think he was with the Bears.
Yeah, I think he might have. Yeah, I think that might have been the year they took Trubisky, right? So I can't remember. Who knows? Actually, I don't think he was there when they took Trubisky. I think he came in after. But we don't need to talk about Matt Nagy. But the whole point being, Zeke's looked pretty washed this year, and yet every week they've not activated Dalvin Cook over Zeke. So if Zeke looks that bad, how much worse does Dalvin Cook look to just not even be active over him? It's kind of that's. So I wholeheartedly agree with you, Josh. I think Dowdle's got the job. That was a really long-winded way. We can get to Ryan's question. Titans, Pats, Vikings, or Rams defense today?
So I don't rank defense. I'm more into the IDP scene, but I do have a trusted source that I go to when people ask, and Titans are ranked the highest at 6 overall against the New England defense. Vikings are 10th. And yeah, I don't even see the other ones. Rams 18. I don't know where you guys think, but
Well, it's funny because I actually have the Vikings as the number one defense. As much as Joe Flacco is a good scorer, it's not like he's not prone to turning the ball over. And I think they've also scored super well. Last week against the Rams, notwithstanding, that was a Thursday game. All the receivers back. Maybe you could forgive them for that, but they've been almost one of the not stream defenses, like you play them every week type of defenses. So I think if this is like pick up, or like is this like you have access to all these defenses, like you're already rostering them and you can choose from them, or is this really like pick up for the rest of the season? Because that might be the Vikings, and it's not. It goes beyond stream.
Well,
pick them up and play them the rest of the year.
also depends on scoring because Indy can score a lot of points against the Minnesota secondary. Plus, they got one of the better running backs in the league. So I don't see this being a low-scoring game. And the higher the score goes up in most defensive leagues that I've seen in the past, the DST points go down. Man.
I'm looking at defense. But now Zach just made a comment that makes it say like we've had comments in the chat that we haven't seen. Yeah, we had nothing until
this is
the first.
Ryan was the first one. We were wondering where everybody was. I was wondering where you were, Zach.
So we mentioned earlier about the newness, right? Like Restream just ran to version 2.0. So I guess now we're seeing one of the consequences because up to this point it had been working normal, but yeah, not seeing comments in the chat is gonna.
So if you've commented, please try again. Please try again.
I don't even see the chat at all on my screen, to be honest with you.
So yeah,
there we go.
I got
Zoom biscuit.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah. Okay. So we'll try and work through everything, but yeah, Titans, Pats, Vikings, Rams.
So for me, it's between the Pats and the Titans, just because it's going to be the lowest scoring game. Just which offense do you trust more? I'm looking now, and they actually have the Patriots second overall, first Tennessee.
Because they're playing each other, right? Like that's what makes the appeal is the Titans and Pats are playing each other, so like either defense could go really well.
Yeah,
but I think Drake May isn't Drake May healthy? He's playing.
Yeah, he is. Drake May cleared, so
Drake May's playing very good.
Yeah, so I would definitely go for what was I gonna say? I would definitely go for the Pats defense. Mason
I'm going
Rudolph at the helm. Yeah, I'm going Pats defense out of all of this. I think Joe Flacco is kind of boom or bust play, but there's a reason that they feel so confident in a 57-year-old man to start over Anthony Richardson. Like,
yeah, he's just bad at football. I'm sorry, but he's not doing what everybody thought he was. He's just going to take time to develop. I saw a little stat where they compared AR's first 10 starts to Josh Allen's, and they were relatively similar. But that's in a vacuum. If you just watch it, the eye test, he just looks awful. Taking himself out in that situation was not a good move by a starting quarterback.
Oh no.
I'm just not sold on him. He definitely needed to get benched. It's better for the receivers in this offense too, fantasy and real football wise. But in terms of like the defenses, if we're just talking about this week, I'm going New England. They're actually one of my starts of the week. I think Kyle Rudolph, he does sling it, but he also slings it to the wrong jersey too. What do you have?
Mason Rudolph? Not.
I mean,
Kyle
Rudolph might be as good a quarterback.
I wouldn't start Kyle Rudolph either.
No.
And then if season long, I'm probably going to take Minnesota because I just think that's the best defense out of the whole group there.
Well, and that's why, like, if you can get 2 roster spots and pick up, the Pats and the Vikings, great. But I mean, if you're just looking, all these are available, or like one of these is on your team already, and the Vikings are there, I think you just take the Vikings, and then you're unless it's an absolutely awful matchup, you're probably just riding it through the rest of the season. So
I see we got a lot of questions coming in. We'll try to get to them
okay,
as fast as we can.
Zoom Biscuit. Good morning. Tillman versus the Chargers, Hopkins versus the Buccaneers.
All right, so for me, Tillman is like a sit for me this week, but over D-Hop. I mean, he didn't play that much last week. I want to see it before it happens. I know Tillman has one of the toughest matchups this week. Cam Hart's been one of the best CBs. I think he's allowing like the third fewest fantasy points to wide receivers. But Tillman does go in the slot like 31% of the time. So I think I'm going to go Tillman just for the safer option.
I agree with you. Kind of for the same reasons. I mean, Tillman is getting hot. Jameis Winston's going to bring a new breath of fresh air into this offense. He's done well for the last 2 weeks, Tillman. I like D-Hop, but just like you said, the Chiefs, that they're just going to win football games in a way that is not good for fantasy, but is great for real football. So I don't know if D-Hop is going to get that possession role that Rice had. So I just got to see it before I trust D-Hop. I'd rather go with the guy that's hot right now in Tolman.
Oh, and drop the mics in the chat. Yeah, we do see the comments. He was just checking in with us.
Yep. I'm going Tillman as well right here. I just think that Tillman could be on a Nico Collins-esque path of taking a little bit to develop, but now that he actually has a real quarterback and not Watson, that he who shall not be named, that I think that Tillman against his secondary will do very, very well.
I wonder how many Cedric Tillman questions we're going to get. We're going to train through all
I
of them.
put him outside the top 30, but I could see him being.
Oh, look at that!
25.
So yeah, I'm going Tillman too. And I noticed, I checked on YouTube, Zach, your Baker Geno comment. It definitely cost me a league too. So we're in it together. Like I played Smith over Baker. I told everyone I was doing it, and yeah, that was awesome.
Oh, and hold on,
it hurt me just as much as it hurt you. So yeah, I understand.
But didn't I say I believe Smith versus Baker? I said Baker, didn't I?
Okay, well then you should have listened to you as always.
Yeah, because I don't think I would have said Geno over Baker pretty much in any situation. So
I think the rest of us all did.
So yeah, so Zach just
went with the majority instead of Topher again, which I guess it'll flaw. But yeah, Tillman. Okay, so again, Tillman over Hopkins. Like the one thing is, I think Hopkins right now you got to wait and see. Like I'm gonna let him blow up on the bench before I start him, because right now I don't know. Just these new receivers coming over, you might get a touchdown, but like it's really tough to gain that chemistry right away mid-season. So like it's tough to play them. So I think that Hopkins is definitely the bench. I mean, we got to bench 3 of these guys, so but he's I think out of the conversation almost. And it's between Waddle, Tillman, and Dobbs.
Yeah, I think with Tillman,
Wandale. That's Wandale Robinson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was thinking it was Jalen Waddle.
No, Wandale.
Now, Jamie, my pushback on the Chargers being so good against wide receivers, I look at their schedule. They played the Raiders. Okay, I mean, Adams was in that game. I think he got hurt in that game, though. I think after that, he started missing games. But Gardner Minshew. The Panthers, week 2. I mean, Bryce Young, you can forget about it. The Steelers with Justin Fields in what ended up being a very run-heavy Steelers game between Fields and Najee. The Chiefs, after Rashee Rice got hurt. The Broncos, which actually now is looking like a better pass team. And then you had Marvin Harrison 2 weeks ago, which I'll give them credit there. I believe that was the game he came back after suffering the concussion against the Packers. Still, it was a game coming off a concussion, and outside of Harrison, like who else do the Cardinals really have? They go through McBride, and then the Saints last week with Desmond Ridder. Like they really haven't faced any good wide receivers, and just the way Tillman got so many targets last week, I think I've got him a little higher than you do in rankings, both top 30. I've got him at wide receiver 22. So Tillman for me is the highest ranked of this group. Maybe I'm just a little concerned with Dubs still of that we're not sure for sure that Love's playing. If we knew for sure and he wasn't dealing with a groin injury, I might lean that way, but I'm going to go with all the targets Tillman's getting, and I'm going to start saying he's the guy you should start.
So I'm actually going to lean. I'm going to go with a little more consistency here. So I'm looking at Wandale because I've been a huge advocate of Wandale's target share and his snap percentage going up. However, even though he has legitimately received over the last 5 weeks 14, 9, 11, 9, and 5 targets each week, tremendous numbers. He's only had one game in the last 5 weeks over 50 yards. Over 50 yards, just one of them. So he's receiving an average of 9 to 10 targets, and he's not breaking 50 yards most of the time. So as pretty and nice as those targets look, you got to look at the other stuff. However, Romeo Dobbs, ever since he got suspended, he has had he's had the last 2 out of 3 weeks, he's had 94 yards, 72 yards. The week before that, he had 49 yards with 2 touchdowns. He's getting more involved in that offense. He's becoming more of kind of look at Jaden Reed's numbers ever since then. Jaden Reed's numbers have fallen, and Romeo Doubs' numbers have risen. He's kind of becoming, if anybody watches American Horror Story from season 3, Coven, he's becoming the new Supreme. Why'd you see her back?
I like it. My wife would like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. So I'm going Dobbs here because I think he is going to get the most. He's going to give you the safest floor, and that floor is a viable wide receiver 3. And he could be a wide receiver 2 for the week as well, because of this pass happy game that has to happen in order for the Packers to have a chance.
For me, I think the safest floor is Wandale because, like you said, you got to follow the volume, even though it's not quality. He's essentially getting you 10 points every week. 5 catches, 50 yards. Because he's catching half his targets because the other half are terrible because Daniel Jones is abysmal. But you can count on him for 8 to 10 points every single week because of the volume that he does get. But for me, out of these 4, I'm stealing, chasing. I'm going Tillman. I think he's the best out of these. Dobbs, I agree. He's trending in that way where he's going to be or looking like he could be. But Green Bay Packers have the toughest wide receiver room to really read as a fantasy player because it could be anyone any given week. Jaden Reed, big play guy. Same thing with Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. Everybody loves him. He's leading the last 2 weeks, and then it could be Dontavian Wicks. I mean, until somebody finally pulls out, it just feels like a horse race where they're neck and neck. Until somebody finally pulls away, I'd rather either play the guy I know is going to have a big shot at blowing up or a guy that, has a safe floor in Wandale.
I think Reed is the closest one to pull away from it, but I don't think this season will have anybody pull away with it. I think the person that's going to be the closest pulling away with it is Tucker Kraft. And I don't think it's any 4 of those receivers. I think Tucker Kraft will become the most viable, the most reliable weekly fantasy asset in this offense for the rest of the season.
This week will test that for me. Week will test that for me because this is the first time in a while you've had all 3 wide receivers healthy on the field: Christian Watson, Dobbs, and Jaden Reed. If Tucker Kraft can produce this week with all 3 of them on the field, especially if Love plays, then I see that, then all right, I'll agree with you there. But honestly, he's a sit for me this week because I think with Christian Watson in the lineup, you're going to see him lose a couple key targets. But we'll see what happens with Tucker Kraft.
That's fair.
Jamie, what do you think of this question?
I'm going Tillman. So
all the hate on Tillman, and you've picked him twice.
Yeah, even though
that's dangerous going with the Brown player.
No, I'm not excited to start him this week, but given the I'm going to go Tillman.
Because I'll just talk about consistency. That's 2 weeks with the quarterback change. He's got 21 targets in 2 weeks. So far, it's 100% consistency over those 2 games. It's such a small sample size, though. But I don't know. If that's what he is now, and he's going to get 9 targets every week, he almost to me enters must-start territory. Quentin Johnston or Sterling Shepard? Do we even know if either are playing? Zach, is there no one on waivers that's better than these 2 that might not actually play this game? Again, we saw my lineup earlier. Pretty awful. Noah Brown, wide receiver 2. DeMarcus Robinson, wide receiver, excited to play those.
So I have a rule. Anybody I drop, you are going to want to play the following week because they're going to blow up. I played Sterling Shepard last week, got burned, and I dropped him. So I would go Sterling Shepard here. I bet he has a blow-up game. I believe he is playing this week because he did come back.
Yeah, Shepard's playing.
Well, we don't. I mean, isn't he still questionable, though?
I'm looking now. Yeah, he has got the hamstring.
And it's a Monday night, right? That's to me gets really risky. If it
Shepard
comes down to we know, Johnson's active.
His backup's got to be available.
But if Johnson's inactive,
Shepard's backup's got to be available. I mean, it's nobody's going that deep on the Buccaneers depth chart.
Well, if they're talking about starting Quentin Johnson or Sterling Shepard, I'm going to say there's probably not a lot of good players available on waivers, though.
Yeah.
Like if Trey Palmer is probably already taken, right? So
Yeah, I mean,
if we get the news that Johnston's active, I might just start him to play it safe. But if you can let us know who's available on the waivers, I think he's saying that Cooper's out. So he's doing this because Amari Cooper's out.
Okay.
That's why he's having
Yeah.
to already
So-
go to his depth. So
I mean, I'm looking at some of the names that could be out there. Ray McLeod,
sorry.
Tyler Boyd. I mean, those are kind of two that if they're out there, I might start.
Oh,
Were either one of those two?
I'd easily start Ray McLeod over either of those two.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great call.
Let's see. I'm looking at
Even
some-
Boyd, I think
yes.
the Chargers play later, right? They're a 4:00 game.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. No, they're playing now. Oh, so we should know now. Here, let me pull up that. Yeah,
Somebody
Quentin Johnston's
else.
active. I mean, he's not in the inactive list, so
Okay.
it sounds like Quentin Johnston's available. So I would just play him and play it safe because we don't know if Shepard's going to be active.
I mean, somebody else. This sounds gross, but it could work. David Moore for the Carolina Panthers played 82% of snaps last week, had 4 receptions. They're playing against New Orleans. Again, you're down in the throes of all of these kind of bottom of barrel names that you probably wouldn't want to associate yourself with, but I don't know.
1 second.
So good luck, Mr. Zach. Good luck on that.
So let us know who you think if there's anyone you think that's remotely better than Quentin Johnston. But I feel like you want to just play that safe for now. Everyone good? Want to get to the next question?
Yeah, let's do it.
The Mage Bambino, Brian Thomas Jr., Cedric Tillman, or Travis Etienne? Flex 1.
How's that, Benny
to be
boys?
Oh,
That picture
this
looks
might
like
be Ben.
Benny.
Who was... All right. Well, if it is Ben, thanks. If not, then thank you anyway for joining. Regardless of a name by any other rose is still a messed up quote. That was awful. I started it, and
You tried. It was a valiant effort.
Thank you. But yeah, I think this can be back to the last answer from last one. We know Tillman's active. We have no idea if either of the other two are active.
And they play later games, don't they?
Yeah, the Jags both play later. They're both questionable. It's really uncertain if either's going to play. And it's been reported true game time decisions. So it kind of scares me for both. That I think I'd rather just play Tillman. No, you're there. And then the thought is, if BTJ and Edmonton aren't there, who else do you have on your bench? Are you having to drop someone? You might have to do that now. I really wouldn't want to drop any of these players to make it happen either. And figuring anyone else. Right, so unless you have a true backup option for those Jags players, in my mind, I think you just have to play Tillman because you don't know what's happening. But Jamie, are we going all the anti-Tillman talk you've talked about this week? Are you going Tillman 3 for 3?
Well, if we knew BTJ was playing, it would have been an easy BTJ. But yeah, you got to go Tillman just to be safe because what if they are out? Some points are better than no points.
I just got a text from Ben. That is him.
So yeah, if Ben has anyone else that he can play as a emergency, then it might make sense to go with Brian Thomas Jr. But they have to be playing at 4:00 Eastern or later. If he's got someone playing the Sunday night or Monday night games, those apply too. But if he has someone to kind of emergency parachute Thomas out, that can make it viable. But any thoughts, Topher?
Yeah, because of the injury viability, I'm going Tillman. I'm a big BTJ guy. I say it almost every single week. But for the sake of actually having somebody that's viable in your starting place instead of having the last question as a fill-in for BTJ who would be injured, I'm going Tillman.
I too am going Tillman. He just said Brian Thomas Jr. is expected to play, Ben said. I mean, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't gotten any update yet. But I even did read the other day that Brian Thomas might miss a couple weeks with this injury. So I feel like this might be the coaches playing shadow games. And even if he does, I could see them scaling his usage back. So I'm probably going to go Tillman just for the ceiling. ETN having to split a backfield with Bigsby is not attractive to me. And in the matchup with Philly, their run D is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm just going. I'd rather go with the sure thing, higher ceiling. I'm going Tillman here. I love Jameis. I think I just want to ride him until he cools off. I've been saying for years we haven't seen Jameis Winston get a solid chunk of starting time since he's had the LASIK surgery. I think there was a story that just came out that he thought Bruce Arians was black until he got LASIK surgery.
That was a
God,
thing a while ago. I remember something about that coming out when he got that, after he got that LASIK, being like, oh.
Yeah. So
as someone who can't see properly, that sounds so stupid to me. That's not an encouraging sign. If I think Jameis Winston's a complete idiot. I don't want that being a quarterback, but he's been good for Tillman. So let's keep playing Tillman, man. So Bam or not Bam. I saw Bambino and Ben, and I just put them together. But Ben, we're gonna jump around on the comments. Get to yours because this does kind of transition. Talk about Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, without knowing if he's gonna play for sure. TJ Hawkinson, his first game back, or Jeremy McNichols versus the Giants.
I kind of.
That's easy for me.
Who do you think?
Right, go ahead then, Josh.
I'm going Hawkinson out the gate. I think that he's gonna have a big game against Indy right now. Sam Darnold's been slinging it. McNichols has touchdown upside, but I think that Eckler's gonna get the Lions' share of the carries here, and Bigsby again. I'm staying away from that until I see one or the other pull away. Bigsby is pulling away, but I don't like the matchup as much with Philly. I think they're gonna get behind and have to throw. I'd rather Hawkinson in a shootout against Indy, where I think that he's gonna come in and prove that he's gonna be a legitimate target here. You know, and then we're gonna hear Jordan Addison cry some more that there's more targets to go around that he's not getting.
Yeah. I mean, but Jordan Addison was so viable last year in this offense. It's kind of crazy to me how much he's fallen off. I'm wondering if his injury still isn't fully back, or if him and Sam Darnold just don't have that connection that him and Kirk Cousins had. Because Addison, I was so impressed with him last year. But I love TJ Hawkinson. I'm an Iowa guy. Grew up there. Grew up an hour and a half north of Iowa City. The 44 in my username on Twitter, and as you can see in my name down here when it shows up, is after Dallas Clark, classic Iowa tight end, because he was the tight end for the Hawkeyes and for the Colts when I was in my picking your numbers phase for basketball and for football and for that sort of thing. But I'm going McNichols here. I want Hawkinson to do well, but I don't know. You know, he's had a devastating injury. Is that do we want to trust that right away in the first week he plays? I could be a fool. But McNichols has been sneaky, stealing some touchdowns, stealing some big plays off to the side that we're not expecting, even when Robinson and Eckler are in. Now, Robinson, RB1 for the team, is out. McNichols, I think, has a chance to pull away with a touchdown and a sneaky, 45-yard run or catch that none of us are expecting.
Jamie, you and I were talking this week, and I asked you, okay, where are you ranking Hawkinson? Because, I have really no idea. I landed on tight end 20 for the week. I know you were a little bit higher. I think you were saying about you're going to put him in top 15, but still outside the top 12.
Yeah. I'm still going to go Hawkinson in this situation. Bigsby doesn't catch passes. ETN, we don't know if he's going to play, but Hawkinson, man, we knew before the season started that this was his timeline, week 9, week 10. They wouldn't put him back in so early if he wasn't ready to go. Yeah. Plus, the matchup is.
I mean, heck, they even talked about it last week, maybe putting him in, and they ultimately didn't, right? So they've already been feeling like he's close for the last couple weeks anyway. That's fair. I think it really just come down to if Travis Etienne plays or not. And I think for me, that means almost can't play McNichols because I have to wait and see. Because if Etienne's out and Bigsby's going to get most of the carries, it's a tough defense, but I think I'd still chase that volume. And then that way, if Etienne's in and you don't love that, Bigsby's lack of pass game usage, then you can flip to Hawkinson after. But it feels like it wouldn't be McNichols for me. That being said, he might be the one to benefit from the rush yards. Again, like that 133 rush yards Robinson got against them in week 2. Maybe he benefits more from that than Eckler would. So I can definitely see why you'd go that way, Topher. Yeah. So sorry, Gavin, that we didn't give much clarity there. So you're gonna have to pick like Zach and pick your favorite analyst and just go with it. Hey, look at that. Another Tillman question.
Oh my.
Half PPR. Thank you, CRR. Show. Ridley, Tracy Jr., or Cedric Tillman. Once again, we've talked so much about Cedric Tillman. Is this the receiver that's high enough to make us pick away from him finally?
Yeah, I'm still going Tracy.
Sit one.
You sitting him?
Oh, sit one. I'm sitting Ridley.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to sit Ridley for sure. Can't trust him. He had 8 targets one game and caught 0 of them. So
that might have been Will Levis, though. Do you trust him a little bit more because of Mason Rudolph? And no Hopkins? Like I was really encouraged by the fact that he got 15 targets last week.
Oh, that's true.
He did have a great first quarter, but then he kind of faded off after that. And I just don't trust him. And he's going against a good corner in Christian Gonzalez this week. Yeah, I'm going to say that he's fool's gold, and I would have been trying to trade him this week on that hot performance with a new quarterback and sold him high. But that's definitely going to be sit Ridley for me. I'd rather go Tracy, who seems to be getting the better part of that running game there, and Cedric Tillman. I mean, he's just kind of seems to be in everybody's question mark this week, and I'd say you start him over options like that.
Also, let me ask the question: do we really want to trust Mason Rudolph's production?
I mean, you know what? He made Deontay Johnson viable as a fantasy asset when he was in Pittsburgh. I mean, I wouldn't say he's absolutely like the worst starting quarterback in the league. I mean, I'd start him over AR-15. But he's going to turn the ball over.
But I think
I wouldn't want to start him, but I wouldn't mind starting Ridley if Ridley shows that he can consistently get this kind of volume. But I would rather sell it or sit it right now until it becomes a fact that he can do it consistently.
You want to see 2 weeks in a row of that type of targets. Like it
Maybe
could
3.
be, maybe mentioned they could have 1 week of just 0 anyway.
Yeah.
Now to Topher's point, though, feels like you'd rather trust Jameis Winston, right, than Mason.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. But yeah, I think we
also
we all,
real quick to anybody that plays what is it called? Like pick'ems that puts money out right now on Sleeper. They have not marked that Jermaine Burton is out.
Healthy
so you can get the unders on everything right now.
So just hitting.
We got about 10 minutes left and tons of questions. I think we should wrap up.
All to say, like, I think we all agree that Tyrone Tracy for sure has to be started.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so before I forget, want to get to this question by Ben. Jordan Addison, Keon Coleman, or Jalen McMillan in the flex? I think it's Coleman.
I think I'd go McMillan.
Yeah, it's got to be Coleman. McMillan might not even play. I know he's questionable too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Man,
but Coleman,
can Baker keep doing it with no receivers? I guess, if it's all to Kate Otten.
Plus with Cooper out. Like, I'm not a Coleman fan, but I would start Coleman in this situation just because.
You hear that, Jeff? He's saying start Coleman.
Yeah.
And Ben, hope you're listening. and as much as like with Hawkinson coming back, how does that affect Addison? Like, I'm much more concerned how it affects Addison and everyone else than Jefferson's effect. Like, I think I have Jefferson still ranked as wide receiver. So Jefferson gets his share of the pie as his, no matter who else is on that team, and everyone else kind of fights for it. So tough to know how it's going to be that first week with Hawkinson and how to trust Addison. So
correct.
An agreement on Coleman?
Yes.
Yep.
Addison, Coleman. Yeah, if McMillan is questionable, I think I lean Coleman then, because until Addison shows that he can be targeted, but I think
McMillan on a Monday night.
I think if something comes out that McMillan's healthy, I think I would start him over Coleman, because, like I said, I think Coleman is going to get shadowed and he can't get any separation. That was always his MO. He can't get separation against top corners. And he's a 50-50 jump ball guy. You put him against the second guy, he has great games. You put him against a top corner, a top safety, he's going to get covered. And unless he wins the jump ball, he's not going to make the big play. So I'd go McMillan if I know he's healthy. But if you're scared to start the questionable guy that plays Monday night, I'm going Coleman over Addison because he's just got more upside for me.
Yeah, so you actually think he's hurt by All right, so another question from CRR. Rome Odunze or Juwan Jennings rest of season?
I'm going to go Rome just because he's got that contingent upside with an injury. Plus, I mean, he, like I said earlier, he's seeing more targets. He's got 27% target share last week.
Yeah. I'm going to Dunze. I think they drafted Ricky Pearsall in the first round for a reason. Yes, Juwan Jennings has had some wonderful seasons, but when they even if they didn't know what was going to happen with Ayuk with the contract, they still went out and used their first round pick for a wide receiver. So I'm going to Dunze here.
Yeah, I agree. Odunze is the play for the rest of the season. I mean, Ricky Pearsall could take up Juwan Jennings' job. You know, we really haven't seen much of it, but he's obviously got high draft capital invested in him. I could see him out overtaking. Juwan's been there for years as a fill-in player, and he's done well, but he never puts together that starter consistency when he gets that opportunity. So I could see the rookie usurping him, and then Odunze is one injury away, or can just outright beat out Keenan Allen for that second outside job. I mean, I think that's the tougher route. I think waiting on Keenan Allen to get that ankle injury again is the way that he's going to get it. But I go Odunze over Juwan.
Yeah. Well, I think Odunze's not really competing against Allen for the job. Like Allen playing the slot, Odunze playing outside, but it's just commanding targets in the offense.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing too that really pushes me towards Odunze is Jennings is hurt right now, and I mean they're on bye week, so we're not really paying attention to it. But like this last week, like there's no guarantee he plays again week 10. So Odunze passed his bye week. I'm pretty sure the Bears had a early bye week. So like you also get like starting this week, you get an extra week of usage, but then it could also be more than 1 week because of Jennings' injury. So I think we're all in agreement on Odunze there. But speaking of Odunze and Keenan Allen, drop the mic FF asking Wan'Dale Robinson, Keenan Allen, or Jordan Addison PPR by distance.
Oh,
needing 2, and I think especially with that scoring set, I think this is a case where you're going to play Jordan Addison because he has the ability to catch these long ones. You've got 2 really low ADOT receivers with Wan'Dale and Keenan. In full PPR, they're decent, but in this type of format, it hurts both of them. So I think Addison is the guy you want for sure because of the format.
Yeah, I'm going to Addison here. Wan'Dale, his PPR, we just talked about it earlier. Distance, nope, not his thing.
All right, and then he needs 2, so I'm going to go Addison also, but I'm also going to go Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's it.
I think, honestly, between Wan'Dale and Keenan, it might not matter. I think I have Wan'Dale ranked higher, but that's, again, for half PPR, not quite for this format.
I have him 2 spots lower than Allen.
I don't think it's great either way. So, I mean, go with either of those, but I think Addison for sure has to be played. Just to clarify on something Zach was mentioning earlier, right? His question of Quentin Johnston, saying Parker Washington and Tyler Boyd are available.
Ooh,
go with either of those 2 over Quentin Johnston.
Go ahead, Toph.
I was going to say Parker Washington. I think there's been a little resurgence in the offense there in Jacksonville. And I think that whether BTJ plays or not, you still have Gabe Davis out. You still, besides Evan Ingram, there's not a whole lot else. And ETN has not looked like a threat in any way, even if he plays. I think Parker Washington will do better than the 2 you asked in your original question, Johnson or Sterling Shepard. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like me some Parker Washington. Real quick, last year he played 70% in the slot. This year he's playing 70% outside. So he does got that versatility. If Gabe Davis is out, like he could take over that position. With Christian Kirk out, he's going to be the main slot guy.
Yeah, I actually start Parker Washington over all those options here. I actually hope that Brian Robinson starts if Parker Washington is in your lineup, because then everyone's gonna be shadowing him, and I could see them, remember that one play years ago with Megatron where he was playing with an ankle injury and he had no targets, but he ate up double coverage the whole game. I could see this being that kind of Brian Thomas kind of role where he's coming in injured. He's kind of just going to draw the coverage, and then they give it to Parker Washington, and he could get a lot of volume there, him and Evan Ingram. So I'd go Parker Washington over any of those options.
Yeah. I'd probably drop Shepard, but I'd be fine dropping Johnston for Parker Washington. So either of those, pick up Washington, and he's going to give you some startable weeks with all these injuries. Even if, like I said, even if Brian Thomas plays, Christian Kirk's still out, so there's an opening for him for sure.
Yep.
Right, one last question from CRR. Dak over Knicks.
Yes. I have them both in my top 10, but I don't know if Knicks is going to be able to do much of his rushing with that Baltimore line. So I just like the matchup with Dak, Atlanta.
I am totally with you there. I'm going Dak. I'm going Dak there.
I mean, I have them separated by 2 spots. Like Dak's my QB7, Knicks is my 9.
Yeah. Where do you have Mayfield in that? Because I'm actually in a
Mayfield,
struggle right now.
19.
19, yeah. So I'm starting Dak over Mayfield this week. So, I mean, I would probably do the same with Knicks. I just like the matchup more. I'm playing the matchup right now. He's got one of the easiest quarterback schedules moving forward. He's got to turn it on at some point. This is the matchup to do it. It's an easy secondary with, it's a good matchup for quarterback. It's a good matchup for wide receiver, and they got to get it going. Atlanta's gonna be throwing and putting up points, so they got to at least duke it out here. I could see it, hopefully turning into a shootout, unless Dak just can't get it done. But we'll see. I kind of see this as the last shot for Dak to get it going before it's just like, all right, I've had enough, and I'm benching Dak the rest of the season.
This is the highest over-under of the week, right? Cowboys, Falcons?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the odds makers are expecting this to be the shootout of all shootouts this week anyway.
Yeah.
But in spite of that, I actually have Knicks ranked quite a few spots higher. QB 8 compared to Dak and QB 15. So just a little colder on Dak. Low passing goal line grade this week. Encouraged enough for it to be for a good Rico Dowdle game, I suppose. But, yeah, I'm a little cooler on Dak. That being said, I don't think I have Dak versus Knicks anywhere. So I think the leagues where I have both these quarterbacks, they're in the lineups for sure. So definitely, I think it's fair to think about it. CR seems like starting Dak over Knicks makes me think they're already leaning that direction, and you've all said that. So I won't push for Bo if everyone else seems already convinced. Because last week I messed up bad by that. We had someone come in and ask about Ferguson's a flex, and we asked, well, who's your starting tight end? And they said Zach Ertz, and I think I was emphatic. I think everyone agreed with me, but I was especially emphatic. Oh, Ferguson has to start. They didn't even ask about that, and we messed it up because Ertz outscored Ferguson. So I stuck my nose where I didn't belong and just minding my business. So I'm probably going to do the same here. I'm not going to have people go against their own convictions. Like Zach, I'm not going to ever convince Zach to not trust Topher.
And Topher.
Ryan, pick one, please. Aaron Jones, Chase Brown, or Tyrone Tracy?
Ooh, that's tough.
I have Jones pretty high this week because the Colts run defense. RB 13 for me.
I got him at RB9. Chase Brown's at 11 for me. So it's close. Tracy a little bit farther down at 19. So if I had to pick one, I'd go Jones.
I'm going Jones.
Yeah, for me, this is between Brown and Jones, and I think I go Jones just because I think Minnesota eventually gets ahead, and they will have the game script to run the ball to try and chew up clock. So that favors Jones.
Absolutely.
Topher knows all about it. Go Pack, go! We've seen how bad that run defense can be. So.
Yep.
We've cheered for Aaron Jones for so many years. Let's cheer for him for one more week. Would you start Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua? Both of them playing in the same lineup, or bench one for James Conner. It's funny because if Puka, from what we've seen from Puka, if he plays, I think you have to start him. And I actually think Kupp would be the bench if Puka plays. I think you're fine to start both, but man, if every game Nakua is active, I don't think you could ever bench him personally. like last week he looked better than Cup, even though his injury seemed to be more serious. So Nakua's kind of shown the last couple of years he's going to be a target hog no matter what. So I mean, I think it's fine to just play both Rams receivers though.
I have Puka and Cup back to back at 10 and 11.
I've got Puka at like wide receiver 8 or something this week. So 9 actually 9. Cup's at 14. They're close, but and I mean 2 top 14 receivers to me that seems startable for sure.
Yeah, I'd start both receivers unless it's standard. Then I would probably play James Conner over one of them. But if everyone's playing PPR, half point PPR, it's got to be the 2 receivers because Matthew Stafford is a chucker. You know, he likes to throw that ball, and he's got 2 great. Once he got both of them back, he became fantasy relevant. You know, so that's all you needed to see is he needed his weapons back, and he makes them relevant.
And Sparks ask about the scoring settings too. If it's half PPR, is that enough to go towards the running back?
No, it'd have to be standard.
Okay, and just no absolute points per reception away from the receivers. Topher, do you agree of going both?
Oh yeah, I agree. I definitely agree on that.
Cardinals do play later, so you will get to know for sure that Nakua is active before having to make this decision.
Yes,
I know he is still less
very
questionable, even if he is again expected to play. So yeah, Kyle Senra. Full PPR, Love or Cousins? Dubs or McMillan? Bengals or Chargers defense? Worried about the rain in Green Bay. Honestly, I'm more worried about Love's injury than I am about the rain, and that's why I would go Cousins. Like he might aggravate it. It might not be a full game. Like I've got him pretty low in my QB rankings this week. Like I don't know where you put him, Jamie, but Love's another guy that I put him at QB 21. Like just we don't know for sure. Honestly, as a Packers fan, I'm kind of hoping he doesn't play because I think there is risk of him playing.
I got him at 16.
Getting that 3rd injury. 16, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit 16, but Cousins, I got him top 10 at number 9.
ECR, he was like 6.
No, I got him at 6. Yeah. Crap.
Well, I've got him at like 16, so I'm pretty low on Cousins, but I'm not low enough. Like I'd still go the healthy guy in Cousins.
Yeah, I think Dubes is pretty simple.
Achilles, but...
Gotta go Dubes, I think, over McMillan. Dubs.
I always go with the Dubes. I totally agree on that. But yeah, I think Dubs too. I'm fine not having to play the stack though. Is anyone really pushing for Dubs and Love stack? Or
I'd probably play the stack. If Love is healthy, if Love is declared healthy, I'm going with the stack.
Yeah.
It
gives you double the points. It's worth the play. And then for the defense, I'm going Chargers. The Bengals defense is paper thin. So I'm not interested in starting them, even in a good matchup against Vegas.
I mean, Chargers in theory have a good matchup too with Winston. As much as he can put up points, he does love to throw interceptions. So there's definitely
exactly. Mr. 30-30, man.
I've got the Chargers defense starting in a league this week, so I definitely.
Me too.
Starting them.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm going Cousins, Dobbs, and I'm going Bengals. Yeah, Cousins.
Both have good matchups. I don't think you can go wrong with either defense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we all agreed Dubs for sure.
Yes.
A part of that is health because we know he's playing for sure. We don't know about McMillan. Both defenses are good matchups. I mean, honestly, Bengals might be playing Desmond Ridder. That might be appealing, and it's a good point, Topher. Either way, I think you're fine with either of those defenses. And then I think the tricky thing with Love is, do you think he's playing? Because you have to kind of decide that now. Cousins plays at 1:00, so it's really tough. For me personally, it'd be really tough to click yes on Love, not knowing that he's for sure.
Yeah,
that's the scary part there.
I think Love will play. I've got a couple people that are wondering, is he going to play the whole game?
Yeah.
I
mean, technically you could say that for Cousins, right? He could suffer an injury too. Like that's the risk for any quarterback. But with Love dealing with 2 different injuries right now, a knee and a groin injury, like that is the groin injury just he was favoring that part of his body because of the knee, and now like a compensatory injury. Like does he get a different compensatory injury from dealing with 2 others? Like it's again, like I almost hope the Packers don't play him because as a Packers fan, this does worry me for the whole season. 5 weeks coming up, give him the 2 weeks. Because it sounds like this knee injury isn't going to be 100% for the rest of the year. It'll be mostly good, He seems to be mobile and running well. The one thing that Kyle's saying is also leaning away from the rain. So feels like Kyle already wants to go Cousins and McMillan. But I think we can convince him at least to play Dubs and get that exposure that he'll get the targets kind of no matter who's going to be the quarterback. But yeah, it seems like he's already leaning towards Cousins anyway. So I think it just play it safe, right? With the injury, it's tough to for sure know because you don't really want to cut either of those guys to go get a replacement for Jordan.
Yeah,
but if you leave Love and then like, oh, I got to cut Love for Malik Willis, like, do you really want to do that?
Not at all. No. No.
Zach asked this question last week. Technically, we couldn't get it wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
They finished 1-2 in scoring. So whichever one you started, you were happy with. Pitts or Otten once again.
I'm going Otten. I think that offense is now funneling. That receiving offense is now funneling through Otten. I don't think you can go wrong with starting him.
All the injuries, it's all going to be him.
I echo Topher. Right now. It's Otten's offense. Kyle Pitts. There's more mouths to feed in Atlanta. You got to start Otten. Primetime game too. Baker's got to throw to someone.
And I mean, the Chiefs, we talked about how they're so tough against running backs. Like tight ends is the one spot they could be.
Yeah.
Otten is my tight end 7 this week, and Pitts 10. So a couple spots difference, but I mean, it doesn't matter what I say. Topher said Otten, so Zach's.
My bad.
Apparently, CR is going with Tillman. So, man, we had so many Cedric Tillman questions, and I know Jamie was kind of a little cold on Tillman this week, but kind of surprised that Tillman was the answer every time. I mean, 2 weeks of 12 and 9 targets, especially 9 targets with a full game with Winston last week.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jamie, did you want to chime in on the Pitts versus Otten?
I rank Pitts 2 spots higher, but if it came down to like my ranking or my lineup, I would probably go Otten.
Which is a weird thing because when I make decisions in my lineup, I will change my rankings accordingly. Okay, clearly I'm favoring this player, right? Like, so I use sometimes like my start-sit decisions as a way to actually like hammer down my rankings too. So playing a lot of leagues, I can actually find some crossover and be able to find some things. So if I'm wrong, I'm screwing myself on my teams and in my rankings. It's perfect. McConkey or Shakir, PPR, big play bonus.
Ooh.
I think it's easily Shakir. I think he's a top 20 receiver this week.
McConkey has also been slowly showing what he can do, and he, rookie receivers in the second half of the season. I'm going Shakir, but I would not be mad at you if you started McConkey.
Yeah, I like McConkey. I don't think Greg Newsome's going to be able to lock him down. He's just too fast off that line, and Newsome gave up a touchdown, I believe, the past 3 weeks. And didn't McConkey get a couple touchdowns last week?
Yep.
So I like that matchup.
I just like that Shakir is getting like just consistent targets. Like 10 targets last week, led the team even with Amari Cooper there. So he's that injury, missed a couple games. I think he's over that. And, I'm ready to put him back in the top 20. Dan, the B League says, I've asked this once before a few weeks back, but still more pertinent with the QB change. Elijah Moore or Jalen Waddle? Full PPR. Cheers.
Elijah Moore. Why would you start Elijah Moore? Oh, yeah, because he got 12
he
targets.
Was getting targets last week, but I'm with you, Jamie. I think it's easily.
Nasir Taylor is one of the best slot corners. I wouldn't start Elijah Moore versus him.
No, I go Waddle. Crazy. If you would have asked this question in week 1 or said that this was a question in week 9, I think all of us would have crapped our pants a little bit.
Well, I think we all would have known why, though, right? Oh, Tua probably got hurt, or right? Like that. We would have probably guessed that was the reason for it, but
correct.
Tua's back.
Yeah.
What do you think, Josh?
But even with Elijah Moore, you're like, why would you compare those two? Yeah, I get it.
Dan might also just be trolling us, but
just sticking with Waddle. He's just got the more consistency and upside. I mean, I know he hasn't had it this year, but the guy averages like 16 points per fantasy game, and he's going to have to get back on track, just like Dak. He's basically just in a big slump. He's got to play his way out of it.
Just giving some love to the Browns. Okay, he's going to start Waddle. I knew Dan would. A couple more questions here. Connor Larose asking, in full PPR, pick one. Pick one wide receiver, one tight end, and one flex. I got to pick 3 of these players. Jake Ferguson, David Njoku, Jalen Tolbert, Rome Odunze, Jalen Coker, or Demario Douglas. I just want to isolate the tight end question first. So Njoku or Ferguson?
Njoku, hands down. I got him at number 2. Ferguson's closer to like 6 or 7 for me.
God.
They are back-to-back in my ranking, so I think it is a fair question. But both of their rushing goal line grades for those teams are higher than the passing grade, so I'm a little concerned with the touchdown upside for both of them. But consistent targets, like to me, they're almost the archetype for the same tight end. So.
Yeah, I'm going to Joku, Roma Dunze, and Coker, whatever it is. Coker.
Yeah. I mean, I think Njoku and Rome are the easy plays at tight end and wide receiver, but I could see upside in all the other options, to be honest with you. I just think it depends on what you need. Safe floor, Jake Ferguson. I think he's been getting solid volume where he'll get you 8 to 10 points. But as far as everybody else, they're, very low floor, but they have upside. I think I might go Douglas in my flex here just because I think Drake May is going to, do well against Tennessee, and he's going to have to throw the ball to someone. So I'd give a dart throw at him in my flex.
I would say with this shootout potential game we talked about with Cowboys Falcons, I would want to find a way to get one of the Cowboy players in the lineup. And between Ferguson and Tolbert, I really feel like I'd rather just get Ferguson. I think I'm leaning to play both tight ends, to be honest. Start one, flex the other, and then probably go Roma Dunze for the third. I can understand Demario Douglas as well, though, getting targets with Drake May back. But yeah, I think that's how I would play. I'd play both tight ends.
So that's
again,
a safe
I'm also the guy ranking Ferguson ahead of Njoku. So part of me feels like I see this. I just feel like Ferguson has to be in this lineup. But.
Yeah, if you want to play a safe floor, I wouldn't look at you sideways for that, because like I said, Jake Ferguson. If you need the safe 8 to 10 points, maybe 12, that's Jake Ferguson. But if you need the high play, that's going to be low floor, but you have a chance to get 14, 18 points. I think Douglas is the way to go there.
I feel like at least having Rome in the lineup gives you that potential ceiling. That's the impetus to the way you balance your lineup. You've got Rome's ceiling, but also Ferguson's floor while you're sticking with what everyone seems to think is Njoku's the better tight end. Makes sense. I don't think anyone said play Jalen Tolbert. And that for that one lineup I started the episode with where I'm talking about Tolbert as my wide receiver 1, that doesn't give me a lot of confidence, but it also feels like it's the right play to not play Tolbert here. If you can afford not to, like with this team, it's great. With my team, it's not. Justin Pierce, did everyone get a chance to answer that, by the way?
Yeah, let's keep going. We got about 10 minutes.
Well, I was going to say, I'd like to get out of here actually quarter 2, so I'd like to say 1 minute.
Yeah, it's like 1 minute.
The last question.
Yeah.
James Cook or Devon Achane, which was something I was kind of wrestling with in my lineups or in my rankings this week. I mean, what kind of stacked team do you have where that's the decision? Like, I almost feel like, is there someone else in your lineup that you
who are you playing over those guys? If I had to choose, gun to my head, Achane, just because of the ceiling. And his floor is about the same as James Cook anyway. I would sit whoever you're trying to start over them.
Yeah, I have James Cook a little bit lower, closer to 20, just because of that matchup. But Achane's in my top 10, I believe.
What do you mean the matchup? He was running back 2 against them in week 2. Like in theory, it's a great matchup for a running back. I've got James Cook at RB5 this week, so like he is like an automatic must start for me. But I also feel Achane that same way. I've got him at RB9, so it feels like there's got to be someone else in the lineup you can bench for one of those two. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with either, but it feels like you got to get both.
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, if this is a really legitimate problem that you're having right now, you should be 8-0 right now, and you should be kicking everybody's butt. Because if you have to ask about these two, I love that for you. That's a great problem to have.
So with Cook being more of a pass catching running back, how does the Dolphins play against that type of player?
Well, again, he was RB2 when he played them earlier in the year, so they don't play him very well. Like he does super well against them, and he's got a history of it.
Achane's doing well in the passing game as well. He's been getting dump offs from Tua. He's essentially the second leading receiver there. Over Waddle.
No, or over Hill. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, or honestly, like he's been getting better production than Hill. Like I remember listening to a podcast and they talked about that of like James Cook, Achane, or Tyreek Hill having a bench one, and the thought in the podcast was bench Tyreek Hill, and I was thinking the same thing. Like these running backs are so good that you'd play them over almost any wide receiver. So if this is like the RB2 spot, like who are you really playing in the flex at wide receiver that's that good that you can bench one of these guys?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the receptions for under over. It's 4.5 for Achane. It's only 2.5 for Cook. Receiving yards is 15 for Cook and 38.5 for Achane.
I guess last year he played them a couple times and didn't do so great. Like 13 for 36 on the ground, 3 catches, 16 yards. Another game he had 29 yards, but got a touchdown. So I guess it just, maybe it's the short history, but the one time he played them this year, he went off on them. Yeah. The last 4 times, the other 4 times he's played them in his career, he hasn't had really great games. One of those was also when Singletary was still on the team, and he had 1 carry in that game. Like it's not really a James Cook game. But last year when he was the main guy, he had 2 really inefficient games against them. But it also seems like is the Miami run defense a lot different this year than it was last year.
So do we have any more questions in the chat? We can just rapid fire real quick.
Idaho OBJ, Romeo Doubs or Rico Dowdle at Atlanta? I'd go Rico just for the volume.
I'm gonna go Rico.
Yeah, same here.
Because he's going to get touches.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
Joshua, full PPR, pick 2 players. Marvin Harrison, Jacoby Myers, Rashad White, Josh Downs, Keenan Allen, Lavin Twonky.
Okay.
Rashad White or Tyrone Tracy. For the other league, I think it's easily Tracy over White because he's not really splitting much.
Oh, absolutely.
Agreed. And I'm definitely going Downs. I got him as my wide receiver 14 this week, and I'll go Marvin Harrison.
I've got them both in the top 20. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm going McConkey and Harrison for the top one.
I'm going Downs and McConkey.
Okay, well, and I think we eliminate a lot of the like Myers, Rashad White in that first lineup Rashad White's the bench in both lines.
Yeah.
Against the Chiefs, that's tough. Taysom Hill, Zach Ertz, and Mike Gesicki. I refuse to ever call Taysom Hill a tight end because he actually isn't. But obviously in this league he has tight end eligibility. I still wouldn't play him. I have Ertz as a top 12 tight end this week.
Yeah, I got him at. Yeah, I have him at 12.
Just a little bit higher than I am on Gesicki. I think they're both top 15 options, but so definitely not Taysom Hill.
I agree, Ertz. Gesicki's going to be a sneaky play with T. Higgins out, but I go Ertz.
Yeah, I'm actually moving right now with Higgins out. I got Gesicki at 8 and putting Ertz at 12 still. So.
All right. Well, it's almost 10 minutes to lock, so we're gonna head out of here now. And,
can I throw in one parlay real quick before we go?
Sure. You got a minute.
All right. 8-legger. Alvin Kamara anytime touchdown. CeeDee Lamb over 60 receiving. New England money line. Saquon on a touchdown. Romo Dunze on a touchdown. Kyron Williams continues his touchdown streak. Amon-Ra continues his touchdown streak. And Michael Pittman finally gets a touchdown with Joe Flacco playing. It gives you a $10 bet. It'll give you $3,779. So take a dart throw with me.
All right. And thank you for that, Josh, and thank you for joining us.
Mine is really quick. Gabe Davis and Jermaine Burton are both players that are listed still on betting sites. Take the under on whatever their highest bet is. I think like for Gabe Davis, it's like times 1.87 for his under on receptions. So I just did a bunch with him and Burton of two player parlays where I did like him and then like a Devon Achane for 4.5 yards. Put $5 down, I'll get $17 out of it. So I did about 10 of those. So then nothing's big, but if you hit on 8 or 9 of those, that's a good chunk of money that's coming your way. Play the cheat code right now.
Good cheat code.
Right. Thanks for that. Yeah, cheap free advice. Jamie, anything to say before we leave?
Just go out there and win because no one likes a loser.
Thank you. So hopefully we do the best job.
It says the Browns fan.
That's why he knows he doesn't like his team very much.
You ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, no, for sure. But thanks everyone for joining us.